darker shame, darling, darker shame. Thank you for all the joy and pain. Picture show, second balcony was the place we'd meet. Second seat, go Dutch treat. You were sweet, darker shame, darling, darker shame. Save those lies, darling, don't explain. I recall Central Park in fall, how you tore your dress, what a mess. I confess, that's not all. Darker shame, darling, darker shame. Thank you for walks down Lover's Lane. I can see hearts carved on a tree. Let us intertwine for all time, yours and mine. That was fine. Darker shame, darling, darker shame. Thank you for seeing me again. Though we go on our separate ways, still the memory stays for always. My heart says darker shame, darker shame, oh darling, and darker shame. I said thank you for seeing me again. Though we go on our separate ways, still the memory stays for always. My heart says darker shame, darker shame. I'll be the same, darker shame.
Hey, welcome to another HailHailMedia exclusive production. My name is Graham Wilson, and today we're going to catch up with Paul Larkin on his new latest project, Anyone But Celtic, inside the culture that created the Lanarkshire Referees Association. But before we do that, first let's say hello to our friend Paul. How are you today, sir?
I'm very well, Graham. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. And opening with a little Wayne Newton there, a little Donka Shane. And before we get into the current project, it's time to say farewell to the previous one, the Asterisk years, sort of drawing to a close, if you will. I'm looking forward on Netflix, hopefully sometime soon. But with that, is there any sentimentality as you kind of close that chapter?
Nah, not really. I mean, it's something that was a constant in my life for almost 3 years, and so it had ups and downs, peaks and troughs, strikes and gutters, as they would say. But it's always important to move on. I think I would hate to be somebody who just kind of done something and then just went on forever. And here's the Redux, and here's this, and here's that, and all that kind of thing. And here's the anniversary of the fucking premiere or whatever. I'm not interested in that. So, it's like the last stage yet for me and my involvement was obviously the online streaming, which has gone really well. I've had some phenomenal help for a couple of guys, John and Sean Gerrity, who they built the website. They ensured the kind of film could go up, and they've been the kind of technical support, of which. Technical support can be kind of anything, because sometimes it can be a genuine fault with something. Other times somebody just doesn't read the instructions properly or things like that, you know what I mean? So somebody will get on to me and I'm thinking, you're honestly asking the wrong person here,
Yeah.
Go to the technical support. Anyway, but that's been really well, and it looks like it's raised a fair chunky money for the Cairo Foundation.
Great.
Which was, as I'd said all the way through, was always going to be the intention, and I didn't make any apologies for that. So it's been good, and it's weird actually, because of course with the online, I always felt that there was I spoke to you before about this, Graham. It was necessary to take the film out there because people appreciate that more.
Sure.
But then even beyond that, there are some people who these days who just literally didn't leave their house. So it brings to the film a new audience.
Sure.
and people are kind of like, oh my God, and I've seen this, and fucking hell, I can't believe this, and all that kind of thing. So, you've kind of got to deal with that when you've sort of mentally moved on for it to get into another project. But it's fine, you'd rather be doing that than no doing it. So it's been fantastic for me, but it definitely was time to go on and kind of breathe life into the new project,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you talk about the people that, I mean, it's hard to fathom considering how far you traveled and how many stops you made with taking the film around the world, literally. But I'm sure that there are still folks that missed out, that feel some regret, that want to see the film, and I'm sure that there's folks like myself who saw the film, maybe even saw the film multiple times, but they want to see it again, and they want to be able to show some of their mates that maybe didn't make it out to one of the film showings, or just, I mean, this as well as anybody. I mean, the second time you see a film, you pick up on things that maybe you missed the first time around. I was certainly eager to experience that myself as well. So I'm kind of interested to see if there's going to be like a second wave of response, reaction, and commentary around it from that very fact.
Well, I mean, it's been convenient in the sense that what's happened quite a lot since I wrote the book and that is people have come to me with the same information and said, have you heard this? So, yeah, it was in the film we did last year. All right, aye. And it's somebody that they maybe have spoken to in a pub or whatever, and maybe we talked about something and said, no, I'll tell you what really happened with this or whatever. And then they think, oh, he's always talking about that. He'll be interested in this. And it's like, I know. Sort of thing. So there is that. I mean, there was also, I felt that the actual film itself, it was kind of layered, and I noticed that because obviously I was at all the screenings, and most of the screenings I would go and see something else or whatever, and like, oh, aye, because even watching it like that, it's, for me even, it's sort of like, oh, aye, there's this and there's that, and you start to think me. But what was important to me was that there were people out there who didn't support Celtic, would never go to a screening in the type of places I went to, but were really keen to watch the film, and have watched the film and come to me and said, oh, you know what, that was really polished, and I wanted it to keep going on, I didn't want it to finish there and stuff like that. And so that was great, because that's kind of who you're trying to get at. You're not what to preach to the choir. You want to get people and say, look, this is what's really going on.
Right.
But also it makes you think about, well, you know what, maybe, with the next film we could maybe have an extended cut for online, because obviously we had, with the type of venues that we'd been in, we wanted to make it quite 40 minutes or so because of pubs and things and going to the toilet and all that sort of thing. So, but we are an online guest, so we thought, you know what, there's maybe scope to do it longer. So that might be the case with the next one, in terms of the 40 minutes thing, and then maybe an hour or so online. But it does, it did come with an immense kind of satisfaction, because, it took a hell of a lot to get the film made and etc., and then to set up a tour and all that sort of thing.
Sure.
But, you can sit back and sort of give yourself the kind of Roy Keane pat in the back for an hour, but then be like, you know what, that's fine, but now it's time to move on and do something else,
Yeah, no question about it. Well, speaking of going on and doing something else, the new project, the aforementioned Anyone But Celtic, it's launched. It's on its way up into the stratosphere. What's been the how's it going so far? What's been the response and
well, in terms of the book, I mean, the response has been absolutely incredibly positive, which I've never experienced with anything I've ever done at this stage. Normally you get some, oh, it was great, and then other people, oh, what a shite that was, and whatever. But as I'd said to you before, I felt I was ready to do this type of book more so than any other kind of time with the book that I did, and I was kind of done with the autobiographical stuff, because I think I've said all I need to say in that respect. And I kind of knew what I was going to do with this book, and people were coming to me, and people that I trust, opinion I trust, and saying, you know what, this is definitely the best book you've ever done, and I think, I know it is, and it's easy to say that every time you bring out a new book, and say, oh, this is definitely better than the last one, and that, but writing, I think, is something unlike music, where you kind of, I think musicians probably most of them do their best albums the first album. The geniuses can continue to do it all the time.
Right.
And then the rest, will just kind of fade away. Whereas with writing, I think your best book's never really your first book. It's probably maybe your fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, or whatever, because you get better, and you understand what works and what doesn't. And also, I think, because of the success of the Asterisk Year's book, in terms of the volume of sales, that enabled me to go into this book with no kind of monetary issue, in the sense that previously when I wrote the books, it was literally to live, you know, it was to eat, it was to keep myself and things like that.
Right.
And book launches and that were so important in that respect. This one wasn't as important with that, so I was able to go into a clear frame of mind, because, I mean, as you're sure you've seen, everything's cheap. I mean, people didn't expect to pay for anything these days, you know.
Of course.
I mean, they really don't. So, and things, music's it's completely changed. Where you know, at one time it was about just buying albums. Now music's about access. Mm-hmm. You know, it's all about access. It's just how you can access music, whether it's Spotify, iTunes streaming, or whatever. And books are going the same way. Thankfully, there has been a resurgence in the sales of to paper copies, hardback copies, and things like that, because people like the Feelia book and stuff like that. But you know, even with Kindle now, I mean, I've had incredible sales on Kindle with this book. But what I've had even more is people borrowing it in the Kindle lending library. And how that's kind of been, how that works, Graham, is that you get paid every page turn in the book, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is, so you look at it and you think, Jesus Christ, I've had 50,000 page turns this month. And it doesn't amount to jack shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's very similar to an artist who, because I remember that I got the streaming service on Apple, free for 3 months. And the first album that I got on it in terms of sort of downloading was the new Dr. Dre album.
I was going to say, yeah. Yep.
And I started to think about it. How does he make money off of this? Like, you know?
Yeah. Because
I don't give a fuck if he's got 2 pence or he's a billionaire. If I buy something like that or whatever, I want the artist to make money.
Of course.
You know, because that's the living.
Right.
So, but apparently they make absolutely jack shit off it. Really, really, really minimal. So there's different avenues. And I was talking to a guy who was in a band called the Delgados. Mm-hmm. And it's a big Scottish band for 10 years, 95, 2005. And it was staggering at everything, even to the point where, and you might not know this show, but he was telling me, there's a show on BBC Two here called Later with Jules Holland, and it's always got really cool bands who showcase their stuff. He was telling me the bands have to pay £5,000 to go on that show.
They have to pay?
Yeah. And I was just like, I've got to be joking. I thought it was like the really cool hip show. No, that's how it works. I was like, fucking hell. So I didn't really go into it from a monetary angle, which means I can pick and choose the projects, added to the fact that I'm now suckered into university for the next 3 years, so that's kind of my focus as well. And obviously I'm doing film at university, so the point with this book was always a case of just getting the time and the space to actually write it, because I kind of knew what I wanted to say and I knew how to frame it. And I think doing that has helped the book itself in respect of people have just bought it and continue to buy it without me really having to publicise it, Graham. You know, it's not like the Astrospheres, like, take, for example, the film, the space between the book and the film. There was probably about 10 podcasts in between that. Sure. You know, talking and telling the narrative and stuff like that. Anyone but Celtic's not really had that at all. Right. And people have bought it, liked it, and said, oh, I really like it, fine, great, fantastic. And so that's been really, really pleasant. You know, it's something that, I mean, I never read reviews, good or bad or indifferent, because I don't think it helps a writer at all. But in terms of just your own people, because at the end of the day, with something like Anyone But Celtic, this is a Celtic thing. You know, the Astrospheres was about, obviously, my concern is Celtic and the supporters, but the story was Scottish football. With this, it's predominantly about people hating Celtic and doing anything they can to undermine Celtic and trying to ensure Anyone But Celtic win football matches. So clearly, I am trying to appeal to Celtic supporters in this respect. And I think that the subject matter relates to quite a lot of people in the sense of there are plenty of people who just could not give a shit about the finances of football. And, you know, I'm almost one of them, to be honest. And, you know, and I can see it every day, people talking about it, and I hate people talking about this. But you can guarantee every single football fan on the planet has an opinion about referees. That's true. And Celtic supporters especially. Yeah. So, you know, I felt that was a subject thing, mate. And I felt it was important that the key difference between this and the Astrospheres, Graham, was the Astrospheres and what that film was about ended with effectively Murray surrendering to Craig White, right? And that was the kind of end of the story, really. Yeah. Whereas this is now, it's real, it's happening, it's been ongoing for decades, and it continues to go on. And what we want to do, and what I always want to do, is to expose that, because it just keeps. This is a snowball of a story that just keeps going all the time.
Yep.
And that is why it was really important for us, to get the book out there, fine, but to show to people, listen, it's not just about this book. There's going to be a film. There'll be more in it, and we need to get the film out because this is happening right now. That our club is being cheated by these people, and we need to put it to an end. Yeah,
no question. Several fascinating topics that you bring up there. First off, the idea that, and I'm similar to you, where I'm a bit fed up with talking about the finances behind football, and we can talk about players' wages and the sponsorships and the inequality that often winds up sifting out from one league to the next. And I think it may be generational, where folks like yourself and myself. I mean, I can identify from a parallel over here in America, but growing up supporting sport, you didn't have that element, or certainly not as much of it. So the romanticism that we fell in love with sport on wasn't based on money, and it wasn't removed. And we've seen the evolution of sport as time's gone on, and the pollution that all this money has caused. I think maybe a younger generation that didn't have that switch over. They've always probably grown up in a money fueled industry. It doesn't affect them as much. But you hit the nail on the head in terms of the authenticity or the legitimacy of referees. That's going to be something that is a burning topic for time eternal. Money can't sway that one way or another, because it gets down to the integrity of the game on the day. And
yeah, I mean, I think. Well, the two aspects of that is, Graham, is the word that you used earlier on was in that speech was the brand, and I mean that to me, that's the most nonsensical word I've ever heard associated with Celtic. Because if you really want to get doing it, you want to look in the eyes of Lawwell and Desmond and say, "I'll tell you what Celtic's brand is. It's Irish and Catholic."
Right.
That's the reason that we are known around the world. Now, we all know we're inclusive and all that kind of thing, but this is a club with Irish roots that was formed by a priest, and that's why so many people around the world identify with us.
Right.
But they will never push that. So they can stop talking about the brand, because that's what it is. That's why someone in Oregon or in Rio de Janeiro or in Sydney knows Celtic Football Club, because of that aspect of the club. And then, of course, the players and so on and so forth. Doesn't mean you can't support the club. If you're needed them, plenty are and they're fine, and that's it. But that's the reality. There's a 4-leaf clover on the fucking chest of the Celtic team.
Right.
And so you're bound by that. So, people have to understand that that identity is a big part of why Celtic in Scotland inspire so much hatred. You know what I mean? Because there's people who it's just, that is the fucking anaether to them, full stop. In terms of the referees, we have the Scottish media and Scottish establishment has effectively conditioned a culture that you cannot criticise referees. You just can't criticise them without meaning anything at all. Mm-hmm. People can say things, but it just goes from one week to the next. They're not accountable, nothing, right? And we've seen it, people like George Fox, Robbie Nielsen, even recently, right? I mean, I've watched some of the worst refereeing I've ever seen in my life this season. It barely goes mentioned. Celtic. I mean, they were literally allowed to kick us off the park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kilmarnock earlier in the season, again, they were literally allowed to kick us off the park. Nothing gets said.
With impunity.
Even when you have Willie Collum refereeing Sevilla against Barcelona, and Piqué saying to him, "There's 6 of you here, not one of you see me getting fucking elbowed."
Mm-hmm.
That's the exact words out of his mouth. And yet we look at it and say, well, how the hell is Willie Collum even getting UEFA games?
The eternal question.
And I'll tell you why. It's simple. It's Hugh Dallas.
Yeah.
Hugh Dallas is the guy who's getting them these games, because it promotes what he and his cohorts started, were part of and continue to be part of.
Right.
And you want to get into that frame, and because it's fucking staggering the amount. You look at every aspect of Scottish football, and you'll have fans complaining about referees and all that, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. But I'm here to say, the refereeing, it's not about getting a penalty or whatever. It's about something completely different. That's not how you control football matches as referees.
Yeah.
How you control football matches as referees is pulling up the refills and stuff like that. And any referee will tell you that. Prime example, Mark Hateley was at the end of his career, came up to Rangers, made another 3-4 years because he was big, strong, could heed the ball, got away with it, 2 wingers on either side of him, whatever. Hartson and Sutton came up here and got pulled up for fouls that they would never have been pulled up for in English football. Never ever. Couldn't even understand it. John Hughes, the later John Hughes who came to Celtic for Falkirk, said that he played in a Celtic game where he made a challenge on a guy and the referee gave him a foul. He said that would never have been a foul at Falkirk, and the referee said, you know, at Falkirk now. That is the reality of it.
Right.
And even with Celtic players who maybe I've spoken to who maybe would be a bit kind of suspect, I don't agree with this kind of thing. When you start pointing these things out to them, it's like they start going, and they're intelligent enough to be like, well, maybe I didn't believe this, but now you've put this in front of me, this kind of changes my perception of this.
Yeah, you can't ignore it.
I mean, I'll give you an example with the Astis. The Astis here has been seen by quite a few ex-Celtic players. 100% positive reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Jaws McCluskey, he watched it in Vegas, came right up to me, he said, I fucking knew that bastard was involved in all this, and blah, blah, blah. Told me Willie Henderson, the ex-Rangers player, had said it for years, Murray was the one you needed to watch, or that kind of thing. Simon Donnelly, Jackie McNamara, see it, Simon, they were guys who were like, whatever, I mean, you can't blame them, and didn't want the medals anyway, all that sort of shit. See the film, first thing fucking Sid said was, I want my medals. What the fuck, And
yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like,
you can understand that too.
I know, and it's like, this is what it's all about. Tom Boyd was exactly the same. He's like, what the fuck is going on here? Like,
right.
And so there are plenty. I speak to people every single day who, are of this mindset. But yeah, I get told by Celtic Football Club and the powers that be, the Lawwell types, that there are this big set of Celtic supporters who never want to talk us about this, particularly refereeing, who tell us that every time, like for example, the Inverness debacle in the semi-final, or every time we complain about anything, we get called paranoid Celtic and it's bad to the image of the club, and we get fans complaining. Who are these people complaining?
Right.
Who are these Celtic fans who complained that Celtic mentioned the fact that we're cheated out of a treble? And I said to them, the problem is you do it wrongly. The same incident happened, as you remember, Graham, 4 weeks later at Celtic Park against Inverness. Mm-hmm. The boy handled the fucking ball on the line and nothing got happened. Celtic should have complained about that at all.
Well, not just that. I mean, it's almost as if everybody's oblivious to the fact that we have this thing called video, where everybody can see it with their own eyes, and it's not, subjective and it's not speculative. You can compile documentation that and it's on YouTube. It's already done for you. You can basically just point it out. It's not doctored. These are clips that are illegally sometimes pulled from, the BBC, Sky, ESPN, whatever, and they show repetitive instances of, the refereeing bias. But to your point, the club just wants to kind of, flip over and have their belly scratched or something, and it's mind-boggling as to what the end game is with this.
Yeah. The mentality with him. This is just my opinion. It seems to be we want to win everything and we want to be successful. We want to have a full stadium, as long as we don't piss anybody off. Though that's what we'd like to do. We don't want to piss anybody off doing it. And it's like, you know what? Just existing pisses people off.
Right.
It doesn't matter what we do. Just existing pisses them off.
Right.
And some people take years to get that. They just didn't understand it. There are some people who have worked at Celtic for decades who still didn't understand that, and they get met by people all the time who are constantly at them saying, why are you not doing anything about this? And they look at you like, what are you talking about? And it's like, for fuck, this is the thing that's on the supporter's mind every day.
Right.
How you handle these things, how you fight back in that, and that's all we want. You know what I mean? For me personally, it's like your own football team. If they give you 100% every week, you can't complain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Some things go for you, some things go against you, etc. In terms of performance and a nickel for the post, whatever. And that's what you expect for the leaders of the club. And it's the leaders of the club who need to be, prominent on this, so that at the very least, these bastards think twice before cheating us.
Do you think that there's a lack of awareness and a lack of comprehensive awareness, or do you think it's they are aware but they don't want to ruffle feathers and I guess, are they trying to protect the brand, as we highlighted before?
Yeah, I mean, look, Peter Lawwell's certainly aware. You know what I mean? The guy, he's a Celtic supporter.
He's no dummy.
He knows exactly what fucking is going on and all that. But to your point is that he never speaks on. Unfortunately, the voices he's surrounded with, apart from one, are no Celtic supporters. And they've not been brought up in the Celtic tradition, and they don't understand the Celtic mindset of how we are perceived in Scotland and beyond.
Therein lies the problem. That's the problem.
That is exactly the problem. exactly the problem. There is a blockage there because certain people want to just do their job, go home and see their family, and that's it. And it's like, as far as I'm concerned, you didn't sign up for that when you sign up for Celtic.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a living, breathing organism, 24/7. We never close.
Right.
And you represent that football club. I mean, the guy what's incredible, of course, is the guy in our history who got it more than anybody didn't come for that mindset, and that was Jock Stein.
Right.
Because Jock Stein was there as a player, and so he was able to understand what the fuck we were up against. So by the time he came as a manager, he knew exactly what we were up against and done his team talks accordingly. John Fallon told me, there was a time when there was a few Celtic and Rangers games in the 60s where there had been a few sending-offs and things like that, and Sir Robert Kelly had come in before a Rangers game at Celtic Park and said to the team, like, remember, the first and foremost, what you want to do is keep your discipline, play like gentlemen, and all that, respect the referee and whatever. That's what's important for the image of the club. And they all went, right, fine, no bother. He walked out, Jock Stein walked back in and says, right, you can forget that shite for a start. You know what I mean? And these guys are important, and this is why, in terms of the book, getting John Fallon to do the forward was key, because there's a Celtic legend.
Sure.
You can listen to people like me all day as supporters for the outside say, you know what, this is happening, this is what I think, and here's the evidence. But when guys like that, who have played for Celtic and have actually seen it up close, been victims of it, literally, then when they speak, you have to listen. You have to listen. I mean, one of the parts of the book, which will be expanded in the film, was there was a period in the late 60s where Celtic were virtually invincible. Not just in terms of, obviously, the European Cup, but in terms of 68 through to 70, they won 5 trophies in a row, were gone for their 6th domestic trophy in a row against Aberdeen. Bobby Davison, Airdrie, drafted in, and completely destroyed the game for Celtic. Won Aberdeen the game single-handedly with his horrendous refereeing. And John Fallon seen all that. You know what I mean? He was there. He knew what Jock Stein said after it and things like that. And it's just like, this was going on all the time, and it continues to go on now. And how they've managed to kind of pull the wool over our eyes is, you're all paranoid. But it goes beyond paranoid, because, as you say, we've got so much evidence, so much video technology, etc., that they can't hide. But what we must do, and this is what infuriates me anyway, is if I come out of a game and I say to you, the referee was terrible today, and then you say to me back, but we were terrible as well, that drives me insane. Because what does that have to do with it?
Right.
Why should us playing good or bad be any different to how the referee should be performing?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point.
It just absolutely baffles me is that we have to separate we didn't deserve a good refereeing performance. I mean, Mourinho touched on it last week with Chelsea, where he was kind of like, I understand you're not giving us anything because we're winning leagues and etc. But here's a wee break at the bottom. It's like, well, what are you saying here, Josie? Are you saying that referees actually do that? Because I'm saying it. I'm saying they do. I'm saying that referees go into games and saying, watch that wee bastard today, and he's a dirty wee bastard, etc. And these are getting too big for their boots and that. But the SFA, have you believe, that doesn't happen. And that they're all robots who just go out and do their performance and go home, which is utter nonsense.
Yeah.
And if you live in a country that predominantly doesn't like Celtic, then these people are going to rise to the top. Particularly when the percentage of Masons is so small in Scotland compared to the percentage of Masons that are currently in the refereeing circles, then of course it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the society we live in, and it's something that we've always been up against. As my old man used to say, God rest him, died 17 years ago last week. He said, when we win a trophy, we're not just beating the team in front of us, we're beating everybody, and that's how I've always felt.
Right. And it's the establishment that we're fighting against and we're victorious over in a large sense. It's a fascinating point that you bring up, where you do get a lot of that when we get a poor result and the refereeing's bad. Right, but we were shite anyway. It's not that, and I think that there's a huge difference between not deserving a result and not deserving a fair shake of it. I mean, we've had situations where we haven't played our best against an inferior opponent on paper or wherever else. But, a shocking refereeing decision was all that came between us and a result, and it's, that's something that is cumulative over time. You know, there's only so many times that you can see that happening over and over and over again. And getting back to your point about, you know, some folks not getting it, I personally, I mean, look, to each their own, but I personally don't understand how you can be oblivious to it. I mean, and if you're a passionate Celtics supporter and these types of situations and these types of results, they stay with you. You know, you go to work on Monday and Tuesday, whatever, and then, you know, you have that on your mind all the time. And, you know, the relationship that Celtic supporters have with the club, I mean, we take it personally. You know, we take it personally in our own lives. It's not just the club that's up against the establishment. Sometimes we feel as if it's us ourselves that's up against the establishment. And within certain pockets of Scotland, it's rightfully so.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I'm quite proud of that, to be honest, because that's how I want to go. You know what I mean? That's who we are. We're rebels. You know what I mean? And that's, you know, for the sales to entrepreneurs with the terms of the club and stuff like that. And so, you know, that's kind of the way I want to go. But, you know, we can't, this whole kind of aspect of, oh, well, you know, you've just got to fucking deal with it. And why should we? Why should we? You know what I mean? I've thought about Graham, the Fenerbahce game at Celtic Park. I watched that fans, a great game and all this kind of thing. The fan, I said, this club at a top level would be invincible. Getting a fair crack for the referees would be absolutely invincible.
No question.
With that support behind us and all that. And that's all we ever ask for, is for a fair crack of the whip. But we are not getting a fair crack of the whip.
Right.
And we're not getting a fair crack of the whip because the Lanarkshire Referees Association has an undue influence on the Scottish Football Association in terms of the refereeing, and has done since 1960. And given that they're controlled by the Masonic Halls of Lanarkshire, then why would we ever expect to get a fair crack of the whip? Do you know what I mean? And that is really important, because for us as supporters, we have to look at this and say, you know, is this it? Do we just accept this? Because when these Sevco fucks come up for the first time or whatever, eventually, you better believe it'll get worse.
Of course. I mean, you know, far worse. You know, far worse than it has ever been, because of the very fact that they are at their weakest. I mean, it's far more than I think we, you know, large sections can agree that it's far more than conjecture to say that this, you know, the board and the you know, the principals within Celtic, in their heart of hearts, they want Sevco up. You know, I mean, they're looking at the financial reward for it, and it's not just them. I mean, there's large pockets within, you know, the establishment proper that want to see that for the spectacle itself. You know, you still hear about it 4 years, 5 years after all of this took place. You still hear about the fact that, oh well, it's a one horse race, and you know, I mean, you're constantly reading articles about what is the effect on Celtic of not having you know, an equal, a sparring partner, etc. And they've tried everything in their armament to try and prop up Sevco as if they were, you know, the same club, and not just the same club, but to the same level. And you know, if and when they do get up to the top flight, Sevco, I mean, obviously they're not the same club. They're not going to have the same resources as the now dead club. So it's going to require some artificial means, and we all know what that's going to look like.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's funny with that whole one horse race thing. People talk about that. It's like, it doesn't even seem to be harmed by Munich anything, you know. Yep. But I mean, look, Graham, we live in a country where this week, on the back page of a national newspaper, there was a serious article telling people that the Liverpool job was between Jurgen Klopp and Mark Warburton. I mean, that is the level that these people are operating. You know what I mean? And I spoke to John. I said, "You've got to be fucking guys." Journalists, hardened journalists were saying. Even I looked at that and just thought, "For fuck's sake!" I mean, it's so laughable. You know what I mean? This guy's come and beat a few amateur teams and whatever, and fucking got annihilated by the one decent team he played, and suddenly he's going to get the Liverpool job or Jurgen Klopp. And people just buy this shit up. I mean, you have people, two obvious ones at the Evening Times, Matt Lindsay and Chris fucking Union Jack, just constantly spouting out this bile all the time about, and propaganda all the time. And I don't want anybody at Celtic or journalists to do that. Similarly, you go on Sports Sound every night, the constant Sevco narrative, and you know, this is it, and that's what we're fighting against. And that's why, You know, I didn't expect any journalist to give me help in anything I did. I didn't want it, quite frankly. Or nor did I expect anybody at the club, although some do. But that's why I think independent media like this and that is so important.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we have to... I can't put a fist into these people and then smash them. I can only do that collectively with other people, you know, or combining, and then together we can do it. And we've done a bit of that with the Asterisk years. Not that I'm saying that was responsible, but the fact is that the Asterisk years, Charlotte Square, Murray Soos and fucking Murrayfield and that, they're all gone. They're gone. He's gone for the country. He's now in France fucking flogging wine to the Far East people. So, you know, it's like he's never going to be on the radar again, and hopefully that's the way it stays. And that was, you know, brilliant because, you know, he turned the narrative around against these people. So every time that bastard's mentioned now, it's like, oh no, here's what it's really about. Whereas before, nobody in Scotland would speak up against him.
Of course, yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just, since David Murray left, and that's all you heard, like, fucking bollocks, you know what I mean? So, similarly with these referees, that's what we want to do there. We want everybody to think of these things that are in these books and will be in the film every time they see their name mentioned, so they can treat it with their name, and everything they do with the disdain it deserves.
You mentioned the player reaction to the Asterisk years previously, and you know, I've seen a couple of signed copies knocking around of Anyone But Celtic, signed by Simon Donnelly and Jackie McNamara. What was their reaction to this? I mean, did they have specific examples? You know, I mean, did their blood boil as much as, you know, you've seen in the past with the Asterisk years, and you know, give us some color around that.
Well, it was funny because they signed the books on the day that we played the kind of Jock Stein testimonial game at East End Park.
Uh-huh.
And to be quite frank, they would have signed them, you know, regardless of what was in the book, quite frankly, because they're just nice guys. But when they're intelligent guys and start reading it, oh, for fuck's sake, and then, you know, they say, oh, you know, because Sid's old man obviously played for the Huns and other teams in Motherwell and that, so he can start to sort of join the dots, people, and, you know, and then even other guys I know who was an ex-guy Guy Douglas I know who knows an ex-referee who was in the Lanarkshire Referees Association but didn't go far, reads the book and goes, now I know why. I wasn't a Mason, I wasn't one of them, you know, I wasn't one of the boys, and started to piece together things that had happened to him.
Right.
But in terms of the two guys, thankfully, or I shouldn't, probably the wrong word, but now they're knowing a job. I'm going to sit down with the both of them for a podcast for HailHailMedia.
Fantastic.
And we'll discuss things about that and things about their career, and I'll do that with a few people and stuff like that. Because they're really, really interesting guys, and they kind of understand. They've got, you know, phenomenal insights into Celtic Football Club and what it was like to play for them. And, you know, particularly Jackie, who's captain of the club, played there 10 years, won numerous trophies. I mean, he's got so many great stories and stuff like that. And having what interested me was in the sort of week leading up to their sacking, and then the week subsequent to that, was the amount of utter bullshit that was in the media about them and what had happened at Dundee United in terms of what actually did happen. Kind of opened their eyes a bit more, you know, right at the same time that they're reading this book going, I'm saying here's this extensive cover-up, and they're going, wow, and then they're kind of victims of an extensive cover-up from other people who are spinning out a different narrative to what actually happened.
Now makes sense.
And that had happened before. I mean, I'll give you a quick example. They had the boy Rodney Schneider over, who was Wesley Schneider's brother.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, played one game, whatever, and then was never seen again. And Jackie got absolute dog's abuse for that. Oh, another terrible signing, this, that, and this thing. And I know the reality of what happened with that game was that the boy suffered from anxiety attacks. He couldn't live in the shadow of his big, more famous brother. So Jackie took him to hospital, made sure he was all right, got his family over, got him back, etc., 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 and made sure he would be fine, and got him home and just ripped up the contract and said that, you know, no hard feelings.
Right.
Got absolutely slaughtered for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because these fucking journalist wanks who just want to make it sensationalise everything, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, so I'm going to be sitting down with him end of this month for a podcast that I'll do with the both of them. And I told them that the only rule with the podcast is I want to get stories for them and opinions for them that you can't Google. And they were quite happy with that. And there's there's so many things that are coming out that they've told me what they'll talk about and stuff like that. Things, because I also said I'm not doing any of that soccer AM pish where it's, what's your favourite colour? And, I seen Stuart Armstrong getting out on Celtic TV like that. I was just like, oh my God, there's a guy doing a law degree and you're asking him who's a better cook, him or Gary Mackay-Stephen, like, fucking hell. So we'll get some stories like that and talking about things, as well as the rain careers, they'll be talking about, who was the biggest nutter with a bevy in them, this kind of thing, because they were talking about that. And Jackie's got some great insights from Seville and things like that. So, yeah, so that'll be good, and hopefully I'll be able to get them just before they get another job. Fantastic.
Looking forward to that. Paul, you mentioned there's a subsequent film that's going to be coming on that's going to mirror this as well. We talked a little bit about that the last time we spoke. What are your plans for that? And also, if you wouldn't mind sharing, I mean, you talked a little bit about some of the things that you picked up from the Astor Skiers film project, some of the things you learned. What are some other things that you want to take from that experience and apply to maybe enhance this experience?
Well, first of all, clearly we're independently funding the film again, slightly better than the last time. Slightly bigger budget, but also bigger incentives. Currently, we have raised, in the 5 weeks since we started fundraising, we have raised £3,830 towards a £7,000 budget. The total budget will be £10,000. I'm putting £3,000 of that in myself. We'll try to raise £7,000 independently from investors. So if anybody wants to invest in the film, they go to www.ls86productions.com. And I would implore people to do that, because we've got a list of different incentives, and without the support of the people we can't do anything. So please, as I said, LS86, that's the number, productions.com. Go there, see this, because the people who invest in the Astor Skiers, that were the fuel that launched that into the stratosphere, and it would be the same again with this. I mean, we're past the halfway point. Our kind of deadline for fundraising is March 31st. That's when we start. That's when we go into actually shooting the film, and we'll be doing no fundraising in December and January, because obviously people have bigger priorities. So it'll be the whole of November, February and March. So as I say, please, we really do implore people, if you like what we do, if you like the Astor Skiers, if you want to fight back, LS86productions.com. For £5 to £2,000, there's investment levels for everywhere. In terms of the actual film, well, obviously now, Graham, I'm at university doing an honours degree in film and media, so I'm learning more about film than I ever knew, the practical side of it. And also in terms of the Astor Skiers, I'm able to capture different things that'll work and whatever. This is a bigger story than the Astor Skiers in terms of the time periods, it kind of goes. Anyway, so the first thing we did was, we wanted to ensure that we kind of showcased stuff and people who deserve a platform. So everything in this film, every bit of music will be from people that we know or are kind of affiliated to Celtic or whatever like that. So obviously Joe McKenna will be involved.
Sure.
Alison Orr is a girl, a music teacher. She's going to be involved in terms of the soundtrack. The Mickey Nines are a fantastic band, and I would urge everybody to look them up on YouTube, where we have Carte Blanche, one of their songs. And Ja was actually filming a video for the band The Christians, which you may not be aware in America with them, but they had a huge number of hits back in the day in Britain. And they're going to write a song for the film, which I was blown away by, because holy shit. And Ja, being Ja, and a kind of negotiable Scouser, was able to put that in his part of his payment,
Yeah.
Gives money and a song.
Yeah, sure.
So I was kind of like, well done, now you're thinking. So we want to tell the story, the Astor Skiers was a lot of me sitting to the camera telling the story. We wanted to tell the story more visually this time, Graham,
Yeah.
and involve more people. We're obviously going to dramatise a few situations. We've got a couple of people who are going to play parts in that respect as we kind of tell the story. We'll have plenty of footage and stuff like that. We'll shoot it on a better camera this time. There'll probably be 2 cameras used this time because we have a bigger budget, and that'll hopefully add to the visual effect, because as I said to you before, Graham, anybody can read a book, oh fuck, that's fucking brilliant, or that's shite, or oh, that's terrible, whatever, boom. The visual impact of a film is so much better, and I saw that in the tour that I did, and so with this, I want to. I think with the Assets years, there was kind of a lot of people, well, not a lot, but some people were just like, "Oh, I'm not interested in anything like that," and that's fine. I had people say that they wouldn't be interested, and none of their members would be in, and that's fine. But I would defy anybody to tell me that their members or they would be interested in a film that's a bit biased towards Celtic, for referees and other people in this country. And also, Graham, about the identity of Celtic, because we need to explore why people are like this. Why do they do this?
Right.
What is it? What have we done to deserve this?
Right.
And so we want to get into that aspect as well. And I also want to make a film to be proud of, in the sense of this, Graham, that one of the things thrown at me constantly throughout this has been about how can you say there's a conspiracy against you when you've won 46 leagues and all this kind of thing. And it's like, no, that's a massive achievement,
right,
to have won that in the backdrop of this. It should have been a lot more.
Right.
Xavi hit the nail on the head when he talked about Celtic and Barcelona being in countries and cultures that didn't always accept them.
Right.
Well, Barcelona have still won a few trophies, so were they never victimised as well? Of course they were. You know what I mean? But the bigots will never allow that, to the sense where I pulled up a journalist on Friday with this nonsense. I don't know if you've seen it, Graham, where the Sun done an article about Celtic tweeting good luck to Ireland.
Yeah.
As well as Australia and Scotland and whoever. And I said, well, how was that a story? Oh, come on, you understand why it would upset people. And I said, no, I'd understand why it would upset bigots. I didn't understand why that did upset any rational person. I was like, I was at the Ireland fucking Germany game in the Aviva, and I was as desperate for Scotland to win as anybody.
Right.
It would have been perfect. It was one fluky fucking equaliser away from being a perfect night, and hopefully both teams could have went there and ousted Poland. That would have been my take on it. But these bigots can't accept that.
Well, where's the outrage? And you don't need to look far to find this. Where's the outrage for, quote unquote, Rangers/Sevco supporters wearing England tops and waving St. George's flags? Or
allowing European sides when Rangers were on the go to train at Murray Park.
I mean,
Celtic,
the double standard is staggering.
I mean, it's like only a bigot would be unhappy with that. Right? Celtic, nobody cared that Celtic tweeted good luck to Australia, but because it's Ireland, that's the whole thing. It's Ireland. It's like, well, you know what? I was at the Aviva on Thursday. It was absolutely phenomenal, and everybody there was wanting Scotland to win as well when Ireland scored. And it showed again. And I've been a bit out of love with football recently, and for all the modern shite yet, basically. But that was a night where you could actually remember what it's all about, why you actually love football. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was building up and it was fantastic, and it's a shame Scotland. I'd love Scotland. I mean, it's a fucking disaster. Scotland, we're going on to 20 years now since not been in a major tournament. It's fucking shocking. You know what I mean? And everybody is passing us by here. The North, even the North Island are getting there. Wales and fucking hell. So it's something that I just feel that we pander too much to these people in Scotland. These fucking halfwits that can't understand that you have a loyalty to Scotland and a loyalty to Ireland. Graham, I ask you the question, can you imagine that in America? How many people tell you I'm American? They never say that. They say I'm Irish American, Polish American, African American.
Right.
Who gives a fuck?
Right.
I didn't care. I didn't care whether you come through or whatever. I mean, we could all sit here all day and say, well, actually, the real Americans are the Native Americans, and we all know that kind of thing.
Right.
But it's fine. Live and let live. It's a diverse fucking culture. It's a diverse world. I didn't give a fuck. I'm not one of these people that's going to be standing at the fucking British border saying to guide people from Syria, let me see your passport before we help you. Fuck off. Human beings, that's it. And that's something we should be proud of. And it just, of course, this whole Lanarkshire Referees Association, Orange Order, Masons, fucking no voters, fucking Union Jack wearers, they're all fucking, they're all feeding at the same trough, fucking Graham, you know what I mean? Every single one of them have got their fucking snouts in the same trough, and that's not a reference to David Cameron. But once again, shows you that's exactly what these bastards are all about. And so we're supposed to just stand down and fucking no bother and let them trample all over us. Well, no for me, thanks. You know what I mean? That's no for me, no for you. It's probably no for anybody listening.
No.
You know, Celtic is the biggest and best football club in Scotland, and I'm sick to death of the lack of respect we get in Scotland for the arseholes who write columns and fucking tell us to leave and do this and do that and all the rest of it. Celtic do more for the game in Scotland than any other club by a mile. Absolute fucking mile. Bring more money in, fans put more money in, bring a TV deal in, every single thing, and we get treated like shit. So the point to anyone but Celtic is say, well, we're not going to have that anymore. You know what I mean? We're not going to be second-class citizens to this garbage. These silly wee men in committee rooms sit there and fucking try and undermine everything we do. It's a football club. Whether we like or dislike Lawwell, whatever, they'll never represent me.
Right.
Who represents me, Graham, is you and guys that listen to it and everybody who wears that grey white hoop on their chest, the players, etc. Because they are Celtic Football Club.
Right.
And what we want to do is unify them and say, we're not fucking standing up to this. We're not putting up with this fucking shite anywhere.
Right.
This second-class citizen nonsense where every time somebody raises a tricolour, they get called a bigot, or every time somebody sings the Roll of Honour, about 10 fucking braver men than any else will ever be, will say, oh no, you have to go to jail for that. It's fucking nonsense, you know what I mean? So, anyone but Celtic is always saying, you've got this anyone but Celtic mentality, and people tell me, Huns tell me I'm wrong by calling me I'm a Fenian bastard. You know, oh right, aye, I get that now. Aye,
Yeah.
Aye, you're not an English major, son, are you? So, that's what it's all about, and as I say, people go to ls86productions.com, see what we're trying to do with the film. And one thing I want to say about the film, Graham, as well, is that I'd actually thought about it as we've, you know, because, you know, I'm kind of painting by numbers here as well, obviously. You know, as you see, you learn all the time, you know, is that once we raise the money, we will document every penny that we spend in terms of what on.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's camera equipment or whatever, or fucking anything. Because I want people to know where their money goes, you know what I mean? I want people to understand. I mean, I'd done that thing at the end of last year. I showed them how much the assets cost and, you know, out and donate money to charity with that, whatever. But, you know, I think it's important because you've got so many fucking half-wits out there, the Rupert Pupkin types who sit in their fucking basement try to undermine everything you do whilst doing absolutely nothing themselves.
Right.
And it's like, you know, I give these people as much thought as I fucking give, you know, well, I'm going to fucking, you know, have toast or fucking bread or toast or a sandwich for my fucking breakfast. You know, it's just like the people like that want to create a culture of negativity. What we're saying is we want to create positivity. We want to unite Celtic supporters, no fucking divide them.
Right.
And we want everybody focus on, because at the end of the day, as we always saying, everything we always do, and I've had this conversation with you especially, Graham, a million times, a unified Celtic support is unstoppable.
No question about it. You know, and several points that you pick up there, and one thing that, you know, I find unfortunate is that, you know, all the things that you talk about, the Celtic support and Celtic itself being up against, it's a shame that the board and, you know, those that are in positions of power to represent the club, you know, on a official level, don't do more to protect supporters and to defend, you know, what's rightfully ours, and to defend our right to exist to an elemental level. And that's why it's so important for independent media and, you know, projects like Anyone But Celtic to come out and tell this story, because it's not going to get told on its own, you know. And
to me, like, what we need at the club is mere quizzical eyes. A perfect example yesterday, team photo, show racism on the red card. They've got all the black players sitting at one side of the photo, and then they've watermarked them out the fucking photo. I mean, surely there's one person at a football club say, what's wrong with this picture? Right. You know what I mean? It's things like that, because we are in a situation where every single thing we do is analysed as a football club. And if we trip up once, fucking people come down on us like a ton of bricks, right? Yeah. And what's fucking fantastic about it is veterans like us, you know, the middle-aged grumpy men like us, we've seen this before, year on year on year on year, which is why we take no salt whatsoever when they tell us Aberdeen have won the league after they beat us. You know, oh, that's it, it's finished, Aberdeen have won, fucking invincible, they'll never lose a game. And then we sit here 3 weeks later with a point behind them going, are you sure? You know? And it's laughable, but you get all these fucking half-wits that come out and say all these kind of things. What we're trying to do is punch back against that bullshit and spin and PR and nonsense you hear for the Scottish media and say, no, here's the reality. No, here's the actual reality. Here's a big story that's under your nose in Scottish football. Didn't tell me you speak out about this, that and next thing when you had the biggest story in fucking Scottish football history happen in the last 20 years. fucking you done nothing about it.
You sat on
and
it.
then you've got this thing that's been going on since 1960, and here's the evidence, and here's all this, and here's what we're showing you, and you do nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Shocking.
And so that's why we say, that's why, I didn't like, see, in an ideal world, Graham, I'd love to fund everything myself and just be like, here, we'll make this film and all that. Just to work like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't fucking do that, quite frankly. So that's why I say, anybody, ls86productions.com, go there, look at the message. It's so vital, your support. And you'll get the support back, you know what I mean? We'll have a phenomenal premiere. We're going to have, if you think the party for the Astor years, I said that was big in May, this is going to be fucking double that, with big bands and all sorts of things going on. It's going to be phenomenal. And, I just want to take the Celtic support. The most important thing for me with all these things, Graham, is to take the Celtic support with me, Yeah. That's what I wanted to do before I shot the Ashes years out into the fucking general populace, was to try and get the Celtic support round the world behind me. And I think I achieved that probably 99% of the time. Mm-hmm. And with this, it's exactly the same. So, without that support, we are nothing. We are absolutely nothing. Yeah. And as I say, everything's there. We've got the right people in place. We've got great fucking actors. We've got people who are ready to play the parts. We've got a costume department that's ready to go. We've got a linear script that's phenomenal. We're going to show and pay tribute to the Celtic men and women who stood up against this cheating and still brought success to the football club and still brought us glory and great times. And we're also going to expose every one of these wee bastards in Lanarkshire who have cheated us forever. And I don't give a fuck who that upsets, who that offends, or what that means to me or anybody else. We'll do that. Similar to the way we stood up to Murray and his cohorts, we'll do the same again with these people.
How's the fundraising going so far? I mean, are you finding that, when you reach out to folks and are people saying, oh, we've invested in the movie thing before and, whatever. I mean, is there apathy around it, or are you finding like an engagement now?
No.
Like people seeing the product with the Astor years.
The difference with the Astor years was that there was a year of a book and podcasts and stuff behind that. People knew about it a lot more about this. The book came out in September. We started fundraising that day. So a lot of people still didn't even know what it's all about. But having said that, we target £7,000. 5 weeks we've raised £3,830. So, and that's the tip of the iceberg for a couple of great, really good investors. Excuse me, in that respect. So, the most important thing is things like this to get the message out and say, look, this is what there's no need to put a gun to anybody's head and say you have to invest or whatever. And hopefully, that'll happen because, as I said, without people going to ls86productions.com, we would be nothing and we'd have it. I mean, the film would still get made, but it wouldn't be as good, simple as that. Whereas we now know the budget we need to make this film great. And the most important thing is, Graham, was we're going to make this film hopefully festival ready. We're going to shoot it as if we're shooting it for a festival so that it can go to film festivals and we can try and get the kind of exposure that it deserves, and the story deserves. But as I say, we can't do that without the support of the people. We've already had great support. We've already had people from California and New York and all over the world, and they've already received signed talks with John Fallon and various other things and whatever. So it's great. I mean, it's what we are, who we are, and what we're about. And as I say, we try and create this positive vibe about fighting back for Celtic, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all about,
And with that effort and with the fundraising, we can make it bigger than David Seaman's cock.
Well, if we get that big, that's Titanic proportions here, Graham, you're talking about. But
James Cameron.
Nothing will ever get bigger than David Seaman's cock, ever.
I'll take your word for it. Right. So,
yes.
Paul, it's fantastic catching up. LST86productions.com.
No,
LS86productions.com. Please visit. Make the investment. We've all seen the Astros years, or if you haven't, reach out. You can watch it yourself. But we've all seen what it's about. We've all heard the reviews. This is vital. This is necessary work that needs to be done. Make an investment if you can, and in the meantime, read the book. You can check it out. You can pick it up on Amazon. Anyone But Celtic, and it's powerful stuff. Or Lulu.com as well.
And the most important aspect is that this is ongoing. It's been ongoing, it's ongoing and ongoing, and we have to try and stop this now, because it's the same as it ever was, all the time. We need to put a knife in their balloon.
Yeah, no question. Paul, earlier, we talked about the fact that, with this film you have a bit more freedom, because with earlier projects, you're looking to sell books so that you can eat, so that you can survive, so that you can put yourself through school. You don't really have much of that, at this point. Do you worry that maybe future projects, because it doesn't have that motivating force of this is for your survival? Do you worry that it may change the tone or certain aspects of your writing? And what pushes you on in place of that?
What pushes me on is the people that I meet, basically. I've met so many sales supporters around the world in this kind of doing these things that, they are the inspiration, because they are the club. It's as simple as that. And it's I'm never sort of get lackadaisical with it or get too comfortable in what I'm doing. I worked 3 years at school and was able to put myself through that to get to 3 years of university now and do an honours degree and stuff like that. And so, but at the end of the day, everything I do regarding this is for the promotion of Celtic Football Club and to attack our enemies, and I'll never make any apologies to that, and I'll probably do that till the day I die. Fantastic.
Project is Anyone But Celtic. The man is Paul Larkin. We all know him. Paul, thank you so much for joining us today. Best of luck.
Been a pleasure.
And hopefully we can catch up soon.
Been a pleasure, and hail everyone. As I say, all investors, ls86productions.com, please come invest. You'll get benefits, and you'll add to that fist that we're going to put into these bastards.
Fantastic. Cheers, Paul.
Cheerio.
You may find yourself living in a shotgun shack, and you may find yourself in another part of the world, and you may find yourself behind the wheel of a large automobile, and you may find yourself in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife, and you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here? Letting the days go by, let the water hold me down. Letting the days go by, water flowing underground into the blue again. After the money's gone, once in a lifetime, water flowing underground. And you may ask yourself, how do I work this? And you may ask yourself, where is that large automobile? And you may tell yourself, this is not my beautiful house. And you may tell yourself, this is not my beautiful wife. Letting the days go by, let the water hold me down. Letting the days go by, water flowing underground into the blue again. After the money's gone, once in a lifetime, water flowing underground. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever